Frindle by Andrew Clements. Nick. If you asked, the kids and teachers at Lincoln Elementary School make 3 lists. All the really bad kids and all the really smart kids. And all the really good kids. Nick Allen will not be in any of them. Nick deserved a list of his own. Everyone knew it. Was Nick a troublemaker? Hard to say. One thing's for sure, Nick Allen had plenty of ideas, and he knew what to do with them. One time in 3rd grade, Nick decided to turn Miss Deaver's room into a tropical island. What kid in New Hampshire isn't ready for a little summer in February? So first he got everyone to make some small palm trees out of green and brown construction paper and tape them onto the corners of each desk. Miss Deaver had only been a teacher for about 6 months. She was delighted. That's so cute. The next day, all the girls wore paper flowers in their hairs, and the boys wore sunglasses and beach hats. Miss Deaver clapped her hands and said, "It's so colorful." The next day, that Nick turned the classroom thermostat up to about 90 degrees with a little screwdriver he had brought from home, and the kids changed into shorts and t-shirts with no shoes. When Miss Deaver left the room for a minute, Nick spread out about 10 cups of fine white sand all over the classroom floor. Miss Deaver was surprised again at just how creative her students could be. But the sand got tracked onto the hallway, or Manny, the custodian, did not think it was creative at all, and he stomped right down to the office. The principal followed the trail of sand, and then she arrived. Miss Deaver was teaching the Hula to some kids near the front of the room. Then a tall, thin, shortless boy with chestnut hair was just spiking a Nerf volleyball over the net, made from 6 t-shirts tied together. The 3rd grade trip to South Seas ended suddenly, but that did not end suddenly. That did not stop Nick from trying to liven things up. Lincoln Elementary needed a good jolt once in a while, and Nick was just the guy to deliver it. About a year later, Nick made the Great Blackbird discovery. One night he learned on TV that red-winged blackbirds give this high-pitched chirp when a hawk or some other danger comes near because of the way high-pitched. The hunter birds can't tell from where the high-pitched chirp is coming from. The next day, during silent reading, Nick glanced at his teacher. He was noticing that Miss Avery's nose was curved, kind of like a beak of a hawk. So Nick let a high, squeaky blackbird peep. Miss Avery jerked her head around from her book and looked around. She couldn't tell who did it, so she just said "shh" to the whole class. A minute later, Nick did it again, louder. Peep. This time there was a little giggling from the class. Miss Avery pretended not to hear the sound. And about 15 seconds later, she slowly stood up and walked to the back of the classroom. Without taking his eyes off the book and without moving at all, Nick put his heart and soul into the highest, most annoying chirp of all. Peep, Miss Avery pronounced. Jake Fisk, you will stop this instant. Janet Fisk, you'll stop that this instant. Janet, who was sitting 4 rows away from Nick, promptly turned white and bright crimson. But it wasn't me, honest. There was a catch in Janet's voice, as if she might cry. Miss Avery knew that she had made a mistake. She apologized to Janet. But someone is asking for big trouble, said Miss Avery. Avery looking more like a hawk every second. Nick kept reading, and he didn't make a peep. At lunchtime, Nick talked to Janet. He felt bad that Miss Avery pronounced on her. Janet lived in Nick's neighborhood and had some good, and sometimes they played together. She was good at baseball. She was better at soccer than most of the kids in the whole school, boys or girls. Nick said, "Hey, Jen, I'm sorry I got yelled during reading. It was my fault. You're the one who didn't make that sound." "You did?" said Janet. "How come Miss Avery thought it was me?" So Nick told her about the blackbirds, and Janet thought it was pretty interesting. Then she tried to make a peep or two, and Janet's chirps were even higher and squeakier than Nick's. She promised to keep everything a secret the rest of Nick's fourth grade year, at least once a week. Miss Avery heard a loud peep from somewhere in her classroom. Sometimes it was a high-pitched chirp, sometimes a very high-pitched chirp. Miss Avery never figured out who was making that sound, and she gradually trained herself to ignore it. But she still looked like a hawk to Nick. The whole thing was just one long, successful science experiment, and Janet Fisk enjoyed it too. Chapter 2, Miss Gringo. Fifth grade was different. That was the year to get ready for middle school. Fifth grade meant passing classes. It meant no morning recess. It meant real letter grades on your report cards. Most of all, it meant Miss Granger there was about 150 kids in fifth grade, and there was 7 fifth grader teachers, 2 math, 2 science, 2 social studies, but only 1 language arts teacher. In language arts, Miss Granger had a monopoly and a reputation. Miss Granger lived alone in a tidy little house in the older part of town. She drove an old pale blue car to school every morning. Rain or shine, snow or sleet, hail or wind, she had a perfect attendance record that stretched back farther than anyone could remember. Her hair was almost white, swept away from her face, and was up to something like a nest in the back of her head. Unlike some of the younger women teachers, she never wore pants to school. She had 2 skirt and jacket outfits, her gray uniform and her blue uniform, but she always wore over a white shirt with a little cameo pin at the neck. And Miss Gringo was one of those people who never sweats. It had to be over 90 degrees before she even took off her jacket. She was small, and as teachers go, there were even some fifth graders who were taller, but Gringo seemed like a giant. It was her eyes that did it. They were dark gray, and if she turned them on full power, they could make you feel like a speck of dust. Her eyes could twinkle and laugh too, and kids said she could crack really funny jokes, but it wasn't the jokes that made her famous. Everyone was sure that Miss Gringo had X-ray vision. Don't even think about chewing a piece of gum within 50 feet of her. If you did, Miss Gringo would see you and catch you and make you stick the gum into a bright yellow index card. Then she would safety pin the card in front of your shirt. You don't have to wear it for the rest of the school day. After that, you had to take it home and have your mom or dad sign the card and bring it back to Miss Gringo the next day. And it didn't matter to Miss Gringo if you weren't in fifth grade, because the way she saw it, sooner or later you would be. All the kids at Lincoln Elementary School knew that it was the end of the line, fifth grade. Miss Gringo would be the one grading their spelling test and the reading test, and the worst of all, the vocabulary test. Week after week, month after month, every language arts teacher in the world enjoys making kids use the dictionary. Check the spelling. Check that definition. Check those syllable beaks. But Miss Gringo didn't enjoy the dictionary. She loved the dictionary, almost worshipped it. Her weekly vocabulary, this was 35 words long. Wow. Sometimes longer. As if that wasn't bad enough, there was a word for the day. On the blackboard every morning, if you gave yourself a day off and didn't write one down and look it up to learn the definition, sooner or later Miss Gringo would find out, and then just for you there would be two words for the day, for a whole week. Miss Gringo kept a full set of 30 dictionaries on a shelf at the back of the room. But her pride and joy was one of those huge dictionaries with every word in the universe in it. The kind of book that takes two kids to carry. It sat on its own little table in the front of her classroom, sort of like the altar in front of a church. Every graduate of Lincoln Elementary School for the past 35 years can remember standing at the table, listening up to Miss Gringer's battle cry, "Look it up!" That's why we have the dictionary. Even before the school year started, when it was still the summer, 4th, 5th grade, and Nick and his friends, Miss Gringer, was already busy. Every parent of every new 5th grader got a letter from her. Nick's mom read part of it out loud during dinner, and one night in August, every home is expected to have a good dictionary in it so as that each student can do his or her homework properly. Good spelling and good grammar and good word skills are essential for every student. Clear thinking requires a command of the English language, and 5th grade is the ideal time for every girl and boy to acquire and expand vocabulary. And then there was a list of the dictionaries that Miss Granger thought would be acceptable for home study. Miss Allen said, "It's so nice to have a teacher who takes her work this seriously." Nick groaned and tried to enjoy the rest of his hamburger. But even watermelon for dessert didn't cheer him up that much. Nick had no particular use for the dictionary. He liked words a lot, and he was good at using them. But he figured that he got all the words he needed just by reading, and he read all the time. And Nick ran into a word he didn't know. He asked his brother or his dad or whoever was handy what it meant, and if they knew, they'd tell him. But not Miss Unger. He had heard all about her, and he had seen 5th graders in the library last year, noses stuck into their dictionaries, frantically trying to finish their vocabulary sheets before English class. It was still a week before school, and Nick already felt like a 5th grade was going to be a very long year.